That fundamental reality divides the wishers from the achievers. The majority don't struggle because they establish incorrect objectives. They struggle because they never constructed a framework to accomplish them. They become enthusiastic. They develop strategies. They document everything. But when reality arrives with interruptions, pressure, and obstacles, their objectives fade into obscurity. Here's the reality. Inspiration is a flash. It feels amazing, but it extinguishes rapidly. What you require isn't additional excitement. You need machinery, a sustainable method, a framework that continues advancing even when your drive doesn't. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how to construct frameworks that genuinely help you accomplish your objectives. Not theoretically, not eventually, but in your actual daily existence. Frameworks that sustain you when you're exhausted. Frameworks that render advancement automatic. Frameworks that transform your massive aspirations and fragment them into minor daily behaviors you can master. This isn't about laboring more intensely. It's about operating more intelligently with organization. Stop pursuing goals without a blueprint. You've encountered it previously. Establish massive objectives. Target elevated. Envision big. And that's acceptable. But here's the genuine reason: the majority never arrive there. They're pursuing objectives without a blueprint. They become ignited. Document a vision like, "I desire to shed 20 pounds," or "I desire to launch a venture," and then nothing. No framework, no methodology, just pure excitement. And that evaporates by week 2. Core understanding. An objective without a strategy is merely a fantasy. You require more than purpose. You require organization. Consider it this way. An objective is the endpoint. Your framework is the pathway that transports you there. If you don't possess a defined pathway to pursue, you'll become disoriented every occasion, regardless of how enthusiastic you are at the beginning line. Illustration. Let's suggest someone desires to compose a manuscript. They establish an objective. Compose a 300-page publication. Excellent. But if they don't establish a daily composition timetable, if they don't determine how many words they'll compose per day, or how they'll manage revisions, input, or creativity shortages, they're immobilized. A framework would declare, compose 500 words every morning from 7 to 8 a.m., regardless of circumstances. That's a strategy. That's the competition. The authentic challenge. Individuals adore the euphoria of objective establishment because it resembles advancement. You feel industrious merely documenting it. But implementation is where everything transforms. You must cease concentrating excessively on the conclusion line and commence constructing the pathway beneath your feet. Remember, your blueprint doesn't need to be intricate. Actually, the more straightforward it is, the more probable you'll maintain it. A quality framework isn't about overwhelming your day. It's about engineering repeatable behaviors that propel you ahead without depending on how you sense. Discipline conquers inspiration, but discipline originates from frameworks. When you comprehend what to accomplish every day, when your subsequent maneuver is transparent, you don't squander energy speculating or questioning. You merely implement. And each day you accomplish that, your assurance expands. Not because you achieved the objective yet, but because you're ultimately advancing toward it with guidance and authority. So, if you've been pursuing objectives and arriving nowhere, halt, take a pause, eliminate everything, and inquire yourself, what's the blueprint? What's the daily methodology? Once you comprehend that, you're no longer merely envisioning, you're constructing. 2. Construct habits that operate automatically. Let's establish one thing straightforwardly. Willpower is not a dependable companion. It arrives and departs. Some mornings you awaken prepared to confront the universe. Other mornings you can't even confront your alarm device. That's why depending on inspiration is a snare. If you only labor when you sense like it, your outcomes will be irregular, dispersed, feeble. The answer: construct habits, genuine, repeatable habits. Your achievement begins to operate automatically. Habits are the concealed mechanisms behind every triumphant individual. Not showy, not thrilling, but dominant. Because once a habit is established, it ceases requiring exertion. It becomes involuntary. You don't contemplate brushing your teeth, you merely accomplish it. Envision if exercising, organizing your day, studying, composing, or preserving money became equally natural. That's the target. Transform exertion into reflex. Frequent error. The majority attempt to transform everything simultaneously. They create an extensive inventory. Awaken at 5 a.m. Visit the fitness center, document thoughts. Contemplate, study, consume nutritiously. Launch a supplementary venture, all commencing Monday. And by Wednesday, it's all abandoned. Why? Because they're attempting to transform through intensity, not persistence. The proper strategy. Enduring transformation doesn't originate from a dash. It originates from daily repeatable exertion accomplished until it becomes your identity. Commence modestly, one habit, one framework at a time. If your objective is to become fit, don't pledge to an hour-long exercise every day immediately. Commence with a 10-minute stroll after supper. Straightforward, effortless, but persistent. That's how you construct confidence with yourself. And once the habit adheres, you supplement more. Accumulate it, extend it, but never bypass the foundation. Difficult reality. Your habits disclose what you're genuinely devoted to, not what you express you desire. If you express you desire to compose a manuscript, but you haven't composed a page in a week, your framework isn't established correctly. If you express you desire to expand your revenue, but your daily habits are saturated with interruptions and wasted time, The reality is you're not synchronized yet. That's not a criticism. It's an occasion, because once you become conscious of that, you can repair it. Consider it this way. Your daily habits are like a program you're encoding into your existence. You're not abandoning your achievement up to probability anymore. You're not depending on being in the disposition. You're constructing a framework that operates in the background, transporting you ahead without constant exertion. That's how acceleration commences. And once it accomplishes, everything becomes simpler. Action phase. Take a rigorous examination at your daily schedule. What's on automatic currently? Is it propelling you ahead or restraining you backward? Replace the rubbish. Supplement one quality habit, then another and another. Before extended, you won't even recognize your previous existence because you'll be excessively occupied experiencing the consequences of your new one. 3. Engineer your surroundings to support you. You can possess the most powerful determination in the universe, but if your surroundings is operating against you, it's only a question of duration before it fractures you. Individuals undervalue how considerably their circumstances influence their conduct. You're not merely a consequence of your selections. You're a consequence of your configuration. Typical environmental snares. Your device is constantly vibrating with interruptions. Your workspace is disordered. Your kitchen is saturated with unhealthy food. You're not merely battling laziness, you're battling your surroundings. And here's the reality. It's challenging to remain persistent when everything surrounding you drags you in the contrary direction. The intelligent maneuver. The intelligent maneuver isn't to battle more intensely. It's to engineer superior. Engineer your surroundings like your destiny depends on it, because it accomplishes. Practical illustrations. Desire to concentrate superior. Eliminate interruptions. Deactivate alerts. Utilize website barriers. Organize your desk. Render it simpler to enter flow than it is to browse your existence away. Desire to consume superior. Don't merely guarantee yourself you'll possess willpower next occasion. Proceed into the kitchen, discard the rubbish, arrange nutritious food beforehand, render the proper selection, the effortless one. Straightforward principle. What's effortless gets accomplished. What's visible gets utilized. That signifies if your fitness attire are concealed at the bottom of your storage, your probabilities of exercising decline. But if they're arranged the evening prior, you've already conquered half the challenge. If your notebook or laptop is accessible and prepared in the morning, you're more probable to compose if your to-do inventory is visible and structured. You'll behave. This isn't about determination. It's about diminishing resistance. And this operates in every domain of existence. Desire superior dialogues. Create duration and location to communicate without devices in your hands. Desire to preserve additional money. Establish automatic transfers to a preservation account so you don't need to contemplate it. Desire to construct a studying habit. Maintain a manuscript on your nightstand instead of your device. These aren't massive maneuvers, but they're calculated ones. Minor adjustments that transform your surroundings in your advantage. Authentic communication. If your surroundings constantly initiates the incorrect behaviors, don't be astonished when you continue slipping. That's not weakness. That's inadequate engineering. Your responsibility isn't to persevere every day. Your responsibility is to construct a framework that sustains who you're attempting to become. Today's challenge: take inventory. Examine your circumstances. Inquire yourself, is this assisting me or damaging me? And don't halt until your location, physical, digital, even social, is synchronized with your vision. Because when your surroundings sustains your habits, your objectives become simpler to accomplish. Not because you suddenly became more inspired, but because the framework you constructed ultimately ceased battling you and commenced transporting you. 4. Render achievement. Monotonous and repeatable. Individuals pursue excitement like it's the solution to achievement. But here's the difficult reality. Achievement is typically monotonous, not showy, not theatrical, merely persistent, day in and day out, accomplishing the labor when nobody's observing, when it doesn't sense thrilling, when there's no applause. That's where genuine expansion occurs. The universe markets you the highlight compilation, overnight victories, massive developments, rapid wealth, but the individuals who genuinely triumph construct frameworks that render achievement repeatable. Eliminate the speculation. Accomplish the same straightforward, productive things repeatedly until it's instinctive. Not because it's exhilarating, but because it operates. The professional mindset. The genuine professionals treat advancement like an occupation. They don't inquire, do I sense like it today? They inquire, what's the framework I pursue regardless of how I sense? They awaken, they pursue the schedule, they accomplish the assignment. No theatrics, merely discipline. That's what renders achievement sustainable. Authentic illustrations, exceptional athletes. Their training isn't glamorous, it's repetitive. Exercises, warm-ups, recovery, repeatedly. The finest composers, same timetable, same word quantity target, every single day. Leading entrepreneurs, they operate monotonous frameworks, budgets, inventories, calendars, procedures, because they comprehend the enchantment is in the repeatable. Where the majority sabotage themselves, they continue transforming their schedule. They commence something, become bored, then transition to something novel. But acceleration doesn't reside in novelty. It resides in repetition. You don't require something novel. You require to master what already operates. Core principle. Your framework doesn't need to be intricate. It requires to be persistent. One solid morning schedule, one transparent block of concentration duration, one method for monitoring outcomes. Since it's secured in, you don't reinvent it every week. You allow it to operate like clockwork. And the more you operate it, the simpler it becomes. Less contemplating, less pressure, more production. Accept the monotonous. And affirmative, it might sense monotonous at occasions. That's acceptable. Actually, that's an indication it's operating. If your framework senses automatic, if your schedule senses predictable, that signifies you've eliminated resistance. You've extracted the emotion from implementation. You're on the proper pathway, the authentic target. The target isn't to be entertained. The target is to construct machinery that delivers outcomes even on the dull days, a framework that eliminates decision exhaustion, creates a rhythm that liberates your mind to concentrate on expansion, not disorder. So if your schedule senses monotonous currently, don't flee from it. Accept it. Render achievement predictable. Render it dull. Because monotonous is repeatable, and repeatable is what produces you outcomes that endure. When everyone else exhausts pursuing the subsequent euphoria, you'll still be positioned, tranquil, concentrated, and advancing ahead with dominance. 5. Monitor advancement like it's your occupation. If you don't monitor it, you'll forfeit it. That's the reality. You can't regulate what you don't quantify. You can't enhance what you don't observe. Yet, the majority attempt to achieve their objectives by estimating. They depend on instinct sensations instead of information. They contemplate they're creating advancement, but they never genuinely verify. And that's how you remain immobilized, by being sightless to the reality. Why monitoring matters? Monitoring isn't about flawlessness. It's about transparency. It's about comprehending where you position, not where you anticipate you are. Whether it's your finances, your fitness, your habits, your venture. If you desire genuine outcomes, you require genuine statistics. Because statistics communicate the reality, even when you don't desire to perceive it. Illustration. Fitness. Let's suggest your objective is to become fit. You're exercising, consuming superior, sensing quality. But if you're not monitoring your exercises, your steps, your weight, or your measurements, how do you comprehend it's operating? You don't. You're anticipating. You're presuming. But when you monitor it daily, weekly, persistently, you perceive the patterns. You notice what's operating. You repair what's not. Illustration. Duration management. Desire to accomplish more? Commence monitoring where your hours proceed. You'll be astonished how considerably duration is escaping into interruptions. But once you perceive it, you can repair it, because consciousness creates authority. How to commence? Monitoring isn't intricate. You don't require a sophisticated application, a 10-tab calculation sheet. You merely require a straightforward framework that you'll genuinely utilize. A notebook, a habit monitor, a whiteboard. Your device's notes. The instrument doesn't matter. The dedication accomplishes. Render monitoring component of your schedule, not an afterthought. 10 minutes a day is all it requires to remain honest with yourself. The finest component. Monitoring creates acceleration. When you perceive a sequence, you desire to maintain it alive. When you observe your advancement accumulate, your conviction expands. And conviction is everything. It's the fuel that maintains you appearing, particularly when outcomes arrive gradually. The alternative aspect, monitoring, also displays you where you're slipping. It summons you out, quietly and transparently, not to embarrass you, but waken you. Because the target isn't to leave yourself, the target is to enhance, and you can't enhance what you disregard. Render it a principle. If serious about constructing frameworks that operate, monitoring needs to be a component of the framework, not optional, not occasionally, a principle, a ritual, a daily verification between where you are and where you desire to be. Don't abandon your advancement up to memory or disposition. Treat it like a professional. Monitor it like it's your occupation. Because in numerous ways it is. Your expansion is your responsibility. And once you commence monitoring it, you reclaim authority. You're no longer estimating, you're directing, and that's how you triumph. 6. Accumulate your victories and construct acceleration. Achievement doesn't occur with one massive leap. It occurs through a sequence of minor victories accumulated day after day. That's how acceleration is constructed. Not from excitement, not from some enchanted development, but from persistent exertion that supplements over duration. Frequent error. The majority overlook this because they're excessively occupied pursuing the massive moment. But here's the reality. You don't require a massive victory. You require a collection of minor ones that guide you there. What is acceleration? Acceleration is what occurs when you create a pattern of triumph. Even if it's tiny, you consumed adequate water today. That's a victory. You arranged your bed. Another victory, you maintained your morning schedule. Victory, you appeared and accomplished the labor, even if it wasn't flawless. Accumulate those victories. They calculate, they construct, and more significantly, they transform your identity. Identity transformation. Every occasion you pursue through, you're demonstrating something to yourself. You're reinforcing the concept that you're someone who accomplishes it accomplished. And once your brain commences to believe that, everything transforms. You cease negotiating with your objectives. You cease creating justifications. You commence implementing the solution you've acquired to render conquering simpler in the beginning. Establish the barrier, low adequate to surpass it, but elevated adequate to be significant. Don't attempt to ascend the entire mountain in a day. Merely take the subsequent phase. Illustration. If you haven't exercised in months, don't pledge to an hour at the fitness center. Merely appear for 10 minutes. That's a victory. The emphasis isn't intensity, it's persistence. The dominance of compound victories. The more victories you accumulate, the more powerful your acceleration becomes. You'll sense it. You'll maneuver more rapidly with less resistance. You won't require to excite yourself up every day because the methodology commences to transport you. That's the elegance of acceleration. It operates like compound interest. Each victory supplements weight to the subsequent one. And before you comprehend it, what utilize to sense challenging becomes your novel normal. Celebrate your victories. But this only operates if you monitor and recognize those victories. Celebrate them, not with celebrations or trophies, but with acknowledgement. Express it to yourself. I accomplished what I expressed I'd accomplish. That's dominant. That constructs confidence. And confidence in yourself is the foundation of all enduring achievement. Don't descend into this snare. Excessively frequently, individuals disregard their minor triumphs because they're fixated on how distant they still need to proceed. Don't descend into that snare. Examine at how distant you've arrived. Every phase matters. Every behavior calculates. And when you connect them together, you create unstoppable acceleration. Construct with blocks. So today, cease attempting to triumph the entire competition in one maneuver. Triumph the day, then triumph the subsequent one, and the subsequent. Accumulate your victories like blocks. And before extended, you'll have constructed something genuine, something solid, something that can't be demolished by a negative disposition, a negative day, a negative week. That's how you construct acceleration. That's how you maintain advancing. That's how you triumph. One accumulated victory at a occasion. 7. Create safety mechanisms for when existence becomes chaotic. Regardless of how disciplined you are, existence will examine you. You'll become sick. Your timetable will be disrupted. Inspiration will vanish. The climate will be inadequate. Family crises will occur. That's merely existence. The challenge: if your framework only operates when everything is flawless, then you don't possess a genuine framework. You possess a fragile strategy waiting to fracture. The answer: an intelligent framework prepares for the chaos. It anticipates negative days. It's constructed with safety mechanisms. Because let's be honest, inspiration is a luxury. What you require is a methodology that still operates when you're exhausted, interrupted, or overwhelmed. That's how the professionals accomplish it. They don't depend on ideal circumstances. They construct schedules that maintain up when things proceed sideways. What is a safety mechanism? A safety mechanism is a backup strategy, a simplified version of your schedule that still propels you ahead, even if merely by an inch. Illustrations: can't accomplish your complete exercise? Acceptable. Accomplish 15 minutes of stretching or push-ups at residence. Can't meal arrange for the week? Create a rapid, nutritious option instead of seizing fast food. Don't possess duration to document thoughts for 30 minutes? Document down 3 sentences. The emphasis. The emphasis isn't to be flawless. The emphasis is to remain in motion. When existence strikes challenging, the most hazardous thing you can accomplish is halt completely. Because commencing again requires 10 occasions more energy. But if you possess a fallback, something so straightforward, so effortless, that maintains the habit alive, you protect your acceleration. You maintain the wheels rotating, even if they're advancing slowly. The enchantment. Those minor fallback schedules maintain your identity intact. You don't perceive yourself as someone who abandoned. You perceive yourself as someone who adapts. That's dominant. That's how resilience is constructed. Not by never descending, but by refusing to halt. Pre-plan your safety mechanisms. Your safety mechanisms should be pre-planned. Don't wait until disorder appears to figure it out. Document it down. Determine currently what your bare minimum resembles for your top priorities. Inquire yourself, what's the smallest version of advancement I can still create even on my worst day? That's your emergency framework. That's your safety net. This applies to everything. Labor, fitness, finances, relationships. If something matters, it requires a safety mechanism. Because the inquiry isn't if existence will become chaotic, it's when. And when it accomplishes, you'll be prepared, not with justifications, but with options. Strength in flexibility. A powerful framework doesn't disintegrate at the initial indication of difficulty. It flexes, it bends, it adjusts. That's how you remain persistent through genuine existence, not the ideal version of existence in your head. Action phase. So construct your organization, affirmative, but also construct your safety barriers. Construct your Plan B schedules. Construct your backup maneuvers. Because when the storm strikes and it constantly accomplishes, you won't crumble. You'll maintain advancing, maybe slower, maybe smaller, but constantly ahead. And that's what separates the amateurs from the unstoppable. Don't depend on memory, utilize instruments. Let's be honest. Your brain is not a preservation facility. It's not intended to contain every assignment, every deadline, every concept, and every reminder. Yet that's precisely what the majority attempt to accomplish. They stroll around with mental to accomplish inventories, anticipating they'll remember everything at the proper occasion. The challenge. When your mind is disordered, your concentration is dispersed. You're not contemplating transparently, you're merely attempting to maintain up. The reality. Achievement isn't about remembering more. It's about offloading the mental burden. And that's where instruments arrive in. What the most intelligent performers accomplish. The most intelligent performers in any domain don't depend on memory. They construct frameworks, calendars, inventories, timers, applications, notebooks, whiteboards. These aren't merely accessories, they're essentials. They're how you maintain your objectives structured, your duration regulated, and your pressure under authority. Consider it this way. Your brain is a command headquarters, not a filing storage. Its genuine dominance originates from transparency, decision-making, creativity, not from preserving assignments. The more you can extract out of your head and into a trusted framework, the more mental energy you liberate up for the things that genuinely matter. That's not laziness, that's leverage. Commence straightforward. Utilize a calendar to block duration for significant schedules. Utilize an assignment manager to structure your weekly priorities. Document down your objectives where you can perceive them every day. Maintain a running inventory of concepts, errands, habits, and reminders. It doesn't matter if it's a digital application or a paper organizer. What matters is that you cease forcing your brain to balance it all. This is about liberation. Don't create the error of contemplating. This is about being type A or superstructured. This is about liberation. When your framework manages the details, your mind is liberated to concentrate. No more, "Oh, I neglected. What was I supposed to accomplish today?" spinning your wheels. You possess a strategy. It's documented down. And you're implementing it one component at an occasion. Competition transformer. Illustration. Even something as straightforward as a morning inventory can be a competition transformer. When you awaken, your brain doesn't need to determine what to accomplish. It merely pursues the inventory. That eliminates resistance. That accelerates acceleration. That positions your achievement on rails. Adapt to existence's curveballs. And affirmative, existence will constantly throw curveballs. But when you've acquired instruments in position, you can adapt more rapidly. You comprehend where you departed off, what arrives subsequent. You can pause, reset, and resume without forfeiting authority. Genuine strength. So cease attempting to be the hero who remembers everything. That's not strength, that's pressure. Strength is comprehending how to construct a framework that operates for you. Strength is utilizing instruments so you can concentrate on behavior, not anxiety. Action phase. Extract it out of your head. Extract it onto paper, into an application, onto a board, anywhere but inside your brain. Because the less you transport in your mind, the more energy you'll possess to proceed out and accomplish things accomplished. 9. Connect your framework to your identity. If your framework is merely about accomplishing things accomplished, it won't endure. But if it's constructed around who you desire to become, everything transforms. Because when your identity transforms, your conduct pursues. The missing connection. This is the missing connection the majority never perceive. They attempt to transform their habits without transforming how they perceive themselves. But genuine transformation occurs from the inside outward. Identity versus exertion. Feeble identity. I'm attempting to become fit implies you're still identifying as someone not fit. That's a temporary exertion. Powerful identity. I'm someone who cares for my body. That identity commences to influence your selections. Visiting the fitness center isn't a task anymore. It's merely something someone like you accomplishes. Foundation of powerful frameworks. Frameworks that adhere are constantly connected to identity. You don't ascend to the level of your objectives. You descend to the strength of your frameworks. And powerful frameworks are constructed around who you believe you are. That's why it's not adequate to document down what you desire. You've acquired to determine who you are becoming, then construct schedules that reinforce it. Illustration: becoming disciplined. Let's suggest you desire to become a disciplined individual. What would someone like that accomplish each day? Maybe they awaken early, organize their day, maintain their schedules, don't create justifications. If you create a framework around those behaviors, you're not merely completing assignments, you're influencing a novel identity. Every repetition is a vote for the individual you're becoming. The extended competition. You won't triumph every day, but your framework ensures you never descend excessively distant behind. And over duration, that persistence becomes your advantage. While everyone else is commencing and halting, excited up one week and exhausted the subsequent, you're still advancing ahead. Quietly, steadily, dominantly construct for weakness. So construct your framework powerful, adequate to transport you on the days you sense feeble. Allow it to become the organization that contains you together when inspiration can't. Because when others are waiting for the proper occasion, you'll already be miles ahead, thanks to the framework you trusted when the sensations were gone. Remember this: achievement isn't about how ignited up you sense. It's about how well you pursue through without the fire. That's the final component. That's what renders the framework unstoppable. Final contemplations. You currently possess the blueprint. Currently, you comprehend the reality. Achievement doesn't belong to the most inspired. It belongs to the most prepared. It belongs to the ones who construct frameworks and maintain them, even when the flash fades. Because inspiration is a disposition, but frameworks are a dedication. They don't depend on how you sense. They depend on organization, discipline, transparency, your 12 principles. You've merely walked through 12 dominant principles, 12 ways to cease estimating and commence constructing. 1. Convert your objectives into blueprints. 2. Construct habits that operate automatically. 3. Engineer your surroundings to support you. 4. Render achievement monotonous and repeatable. 5. Monitor advancement like it's your occupation. 8. Accumulate your victories and construct acceleration. 7. Create safety mechanisms for when existence becomes chaotic. 8. Don't depend on memory. Utilize instruments. 9. Connect your framework to your identity. 10. Eliminate the optional. Render it non-negotiable. 11. Audit, adjust, and enhance the framework. 12. Allow the framework transport you when inspiration dies. You currently possess a blueprint. A blueprint that isn't based on excitement. It's based on behavior. Wishers versus achievers. The distinction between individuals who envision and individuals who accomplish is straightforward. Achievers don't wait for the flawless day. They don't depend on quality dispositions, fortunate fractures. They construct something that operates day in, day out, something that directs them when they're exhausted, elevates them when they're down, maintains them accountable when justifications appear. The challenge. So here's the challenge. Don't merely walk away inspired. Walk away equipped. Take what you've learned and apply it. Select one habit to construct one interruption, to eliminate one schedule, to reinforce, then construct from there, slowly, steadily, with purpose. Permission to be imperfect. You don't require to be flawless. You don't require to accomplish it all simultaneously. But you require to take authority. The reality. Because if you don't construct a framework, you'll constantly be at the mercy of your sensations. But when you construct one, when you genuinely commit, your advancement becomes predictable, repeatable, inevitable, and your objectives commence pursuing you. When inspiration fades, so the subsequent occasion, inspiration fades, and it will. Don't panic. Don't halt. Merely descend backward on the framework you constructed. Allow it to transport you. Allow it to direct you. Allow it to become the foundation of the existence you desire. Your destiny. Your destiny won't be influenced by what you anticipate for. It will be influenced by what you accomplish daily. And the finest way to authority what you accomplish daily is with a framework that never abandons. Final summon to behavior. Currently, proceed, construct it, maintain it, and observe what occurs when discipline becomes your default configuration. That's how objectives acquire accomplished. That's how genuine achievement is constructed. One framework at an occasion.